Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Davis and I'm the developer of DataForge Notebook and author of the book Data Wrangling with JavaScript. In this video, I'll show you some of the examples included with DataForge Notebook that demonstrate how to connect to and work with a MongoDB database. To run any of the MongoDB example notebooks, you need MongoDB installed and you need to have data in there ready to access. This first example notebook shows how we can load some stock market data. We're going to compute some more data from it, and we're going to save the computed data back to the database for later use. First, let's define some global configuration variables. We specify which database to connect to. In this case, it's a database running on the local computer, but we could just as easily connect to a database on our local area network or on the internet. Also here, we specify the name of the database and the input and output collections that we want to work with. Next, we load the data from our database. First, we have to connect to the MongoDB server. Then we query our input data collection and await the result. What we have now is a bunch of documents loaded from our database ready to work with. So we load the data into a DataForge data frame, then we can transform and visualize it. The last thing in this code cell is we just preview the first 5 rows of data, check that it is okay. Now we do some data visualization. We're using the DataForge plot code library to render a chart from the data we just loaded. After doing some visualization, we're now going to do some computation and generate some new data. We're using the DataForge indicators code library to compute a simple moving average of the stock price. We then visualize this as a chart to make sure everything looks okay. Finally, in the last code cell, we are saving our computed indicator back to the database. Then we close the database. We have thus loaded some data, we've done some computation, and we've stored the computed data back into the database for later use. This notebook could be used as a template for this kind of data access pattern, and you might even want to use it to start your own projects. These next two examples show how to convert CSV data files to MongoDB and vice versa. This example shows how to load a CSV data file into our MongoDB database. Here we use DataForge to read and parse our CSV data file. The first thing we do is preview the first 5 rows, then we save the data to our database, and we use the insert many function to save the data. That's how easy it is to get a CSV file into your MongoDB database. Now let's take a look at the opposite example. This example notebook shows how to take data we have in our MongoDB database and save it to a CSV data file. First we connect to our database, then we query it to load our data into memory. Finally we use DataForge to serialize our data to the CSV data format and write it to a file. Again, you can't get much simpler than this. We're taking a MongoDB database and we're writing it out to a CSV file. So just a quick summary of what we have seen here today. We have looked at some of the example MongoDB notebooks that come included with DataForge Notebook. You can edit these notebooks, you can customize them, you can use them to start your own projects if you want to, or you can export them to working JavaScript projects. There are plenty of other example notebooks that come included with DataForge Notebook. They demonstrate many different kinds of data processing, data transformation, data visualization tasks, and there's more examples being added all the time. To register your interest in DataForge Notebook, please head over to www.dataforgenotebook.com. Thanks for listening.